Good afternoon and welcome to Milestone Mondays. I'm Teresa Lauterbach, owner of Afternoon Social, and we have a wonderful guest today. Her name is Pam Sams, and she is a financial advisor. She's going to share with us today her story of how she started her business and some of her story. So, good afternoon, Pam. How are you doing?
Thanks for having me, Teresa. It's a pleasure.
Thank you. If you want to go ahead and get started, just how did you start your business and why did you decide to go into the financial services?
Actually, it's a little bit of a journey. I have an undergraduate from the University of Missouri, Columbia, having our conversation about being Missourians.
Yes.
In 1990, in journalism, actually, with an emphasis in marketing and advertising. Had no plans on doing anything financial. Actually, I stayed away from math in college. Didn't want to have any parts of doing math. But eventually, I went back to graduate school thinking I was going to do marketing and advertising once again. That was probably late 90s. And in that particular point in time, marketing probably was one of the things that are first things that are cut out of people's budgets when you do that. So I wanted something a little bit more stable. So I was thinking I was going to go into investment banking, getting the big bucks. I started taking a lot of the financial management class. Find out I was pretty good at math. Just stayed away from it. Had a horrible experience in high school with math, and you know how it is. It's just not taught very well in high school, so I stayed away from it in college. But in my MBA program, I started liking the finance classes and really focused in on doing that. And of course, with finances, the money is basically in investment banking or that sort of thing. And then unfortunately, my dad got sick in 2001, and I got a chance to spend some time with him about 2 weeks before he had actually passed away. He had suffered from what they call, first it was a series of strokes, and then it was conjunctive heart failure. But I got a chance to spend 2 weeks with him, and this was right after 9/11 of 2001.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So I flew back home frantic, crying on the plane, and this was September 16, 2001, and this was actually when planes started flying again. So number one, I'm really frantic and not sure if I could make it home to my dad. And then number two, really scared about planes at that point.
Right.
But I got there, got a chance, like I said, spent a lovely 2 weeks with him. And then unfortunately, after that, he did pass away. What happened afterwards really kind of changed my life, because what happened was that my mom, coming from a household where men took care of most of the household finances, was a little bit at a loss, trying to figure out things on her own, what my dad had left, how she was going to survive on her own. I'm number 7 of 8. There's like 8 children in our family. And I had just had this MBA in financial management. So, trying to figure out what my next best step was, because I also had 2 kids back to back in graduate school. So the investment banking thing was out of the way. So I was just on a sabbatical, just trying to figure out my next best step, like I said, and my dad got sick. And so it was, I guess, divine providence that kind of put me in the path to be able to step up and really help my mom with her finances at that point. So in January 2002, I hung my shingle out to really, help other women, because there may have been some other women that may have not had the support system that my mom had with a large family, trying to figure out finances on their own. So like I said, in January 2002, I hung out my shingle, really on the mission to help women with their finances. So most of my clients are single by choice, divorced and or widowed, really needing a trusted advisor to walk that journey with them to financial independence. There's a lot of noise out there, and it's not, nobody knows who to listen to or who to turn to. So I pride myself in being that trusted guide for people on their journey.
That's fantastic. So what was one of the biggest struggles you had for getting your business started?
Yeah, with anything, you always have the intention on doing that. That was my mission, and I was, had fire in my belly. But then you have to make sure you put food on the table and bring home
Right.
money for the family as well. So at that point, I had started my career earlier on with American Express Financial Advisors. It's now Ameriprise, and so I had to basically take everybody that had a pulse in order to really grow my practice, from there. But at the time, Teresa, I had 2 young kids, like I said,
Right.
I had 2 young kids back to back. And so I really wanted to be home with my babies, and that was my focus. So instead of dialing, cold calling, and doing all of that most people would do to grow their business, I try to figure out another way that was more efficient for me so I could be home with my young children. And that was actually workshops and seminars. I do love to educate and teach and talk about financial empowerment for women. So that's how I build my practice, is really getting out there. What I did a lot of what we call lunch and learns. So
Right.
really going to organizations to explain the benefits of financial planning, financial wellness, any particular topics. And a lot of organizations, especially companies, they know their employees need that type of knowledge, of course, besides their 401k and things like that, because a happy, healthy, productive employee and not worrying about their money is a good thing. So I didn't have any problems really getting into organizations to go to, a complimentary 30-minute or 45-minute lunch and learn for that. And that's basically how I grew my business. That was kind of the challenge at first, was kind of doing the cold call in and getting whoever you could with that. But it allowed me to get more specialized with doing the workshops and bringing in the quality people that I wanted to work with.
Right. So so how many, do you continue to do your workshops and your seminars? And
I do. A lot of my clients come from referral now, because I have a pretty large practice that people know that I specialize in financial wellness for women. So a lot of them are referral. But like I said, I do like to educate and teach. So I do a fair amount of webinars and seminars and workshops.
Very good. So where do you think your business is headed for the next in the next couple of years now that we've had the pandemic? Is it more challenging now, or is it growing even bigger because you have the internet access?
Mm-hmm. Actually, it's growing a little more bigger. Last year, I was thinking things were going to be a little bit more challenging, especially March of last year when the stock market had dropped significantly.
Right.
So I was looking at, okay, this is probably going to be a bust year like everybody else. But what happened, Teresa, is that it really brought uncertainty to people's lives. And with uncertainty, usually is paired with money, which is usually paired with, I don't know what I'm doing, which leads to, I need some help. So actually last year, my practice grew. I probably almost doubled my practice from last year, just by people saying, I don't know what I'm doing. I need help. With my finances. And then also, like you said, the advent of getting on meetings like this on Zoom really opened it up, besides where I am with my local market. So I do have clients all over the country, because they were able to really get a deeper reach from people being able to be virtual as well.
Right. Well, I know at one point I directed a single parent displaced homemaker program for a community college for a couple of years. And so I understand that's why we want to reach out to some of the women on this podcast, that even though you're single and maybe recently widowed, that you can get financial help. You don't have to do this all by yourself. You don't have to try to figure out how. I remember one lady was like, I don't even know what a checkbook is. But I think that's starting to change, though. I think a lot of women do know their finances now, and they're more interested in taking care of themselves in that.
Yeah, actually, I would consider, millennials and Gen Z are really at the point where they're like, hey, I don't want to experience some things that maybe my parents have had to go through. So they're a little more savvy and a little more engaged with making sure their finances are in order, but also seeking the help. They are a little bit of do-it-yourselfers, but with the proper guidance, they know what they need to know or need to learn, in essence, and then they can take it from there and do things on their own. But they like the partnership to having a go-to person to get validation on some things that they may be working on, but then also, kind of going through to really figure out, hey, is this the best thing? So more of a sounding board relationship with some of the younger women that I work with, but they still need access to proper guidance as well.
Right. Do you have any other advice for women, especially if they wanted to start their own businesses, and how they can help with their finances at home?
Yeah, I always start first with cash flow and budget. And you would be amazed on how many people bring in income or pay bills and then really not have a budget or know where things are going. So I always tell people to start with kind of the basic cash management, what's coming in, what's going out, and then really trying to understand, are there things that I need to be doing differently if I am not coming out ahead? Because the ultimate thing is you want to have a surplus at the end of each month and not a deficit. And if there is a deficit, are there areas that you could reduce and eliminate out of your budget? So I go through a thing with my clients called a wants and a needs analysis. There's things that you need, of course, food, shelter, transportation, but everything else tend to be more wants. I want to go get my hair done. I want to get my nails done. I want to get all of these things. And are there things that you can reduce or eliminate, maybe even just temporarily while you get yourself together, maybe save up a little bit on the side to perhaps start a business or pay down some debt, whatever the case may be. But you do have to have a really solid understanding of your cash management inflows and outflows. Fantastic.
Yeah. Well, I think this is getting close to our time here. We were talking before we got on here, like I said, we're fellow Missourians, and so this traveling between on your journey for becoming a business owner and all that, you can end up in different places. Even though it's a small world, we still connect.
Yes, it is. It's always a small world. That's what I find out. And so many people here out in the area where I live in on the East Coast that are from the Midwest, or actually went to school. I met one lady recently who went to the same university that I went to, and we had no idea. We had been networking and connected for a while, and then find out that we went to the same school.
That's pretty cool. So there's a lot of fun things when you reaching your milestones. There's a lot of fun things along the road. And this is another one. I'm reaching a milestone with my business too, and I'm having fun talking to you today. And Pam will be back with us on Wednesday, on Women to Women Wednesdays, and she's going to share with us about how to get financially unstuck and how to secure your financial future. So thank you, Pam, for joining us on Milestone Mondays, and I will have all her information connected with the post with this video, and we will see her again on Wednesday. Thanks for joining us, Pam.
All right. Thanks, Teresa.